My name's Steve Rock, I'm Vice President of Schools in Victoria. I've been wandering around and seen some great games at every event, but certainly with softball. So well done for the way you conducted yourself. I know some of you have a couple more important games coming up, so good luck with that. We're very lucky we've got this man behind us, Nathan Burke, who's got 3 girls in the 18 and under soccer team, but he's famous for different sort of football. Anyone know? AFL. Yeah, AFL. Well, there's only one real football, isn't there? Which team? Anyone know? Hey? Thank you. So,
You got a fan!
I would go in my stat in 1997.
Hang on.
Jesus, you should come down here and do an intro. So, do you want to? Okay. So, first of all, let's make him feel welcome, and then we'll get an introduction.
Thanks, guys. As said, Nathan Burke. I've just got a little bio on him. So, just so you know, some of you probably think you don't know Nathan Burke. I know the oldies here do know Nathan Burke and what a legend he has been. So he's played for St Kilda 1987 to 2003, 323 games. Good job, Henry. St Kilda best and fairest, which is a massive feat, 93, 96 and 99. All-Australian team 4 times and vice-captain in 97. Also, he's in the St Kilda team of the century, which is a massive achievement as well. And also was Victoria's captain and vice-captain. So Nathan knows all about representing the Big V's in his chosen sport. And he also now talks about team stuff and especially now with his 3 girls in the team big side, which is fantastic. So,
thank you.
Nathan.
Thanks, guys. No need to cut, you've already done that. Thanks very much for letting me come and have a chat to you guys today. It's, as I said, to be honest, I played a little bit of baseball in high school, but that's as close as I've got to your sport. I did sort of personally think, well, why were the boys playing softball? I mean, that was a bit of a girls' game when I grew up. But I've been watching the boys over here, how hard they're actually throwing the ball. And I can see now why you boys play it, because I can't even see anything. So you're doing extremely well. But thanks very much for letting me come and speak to you guys, because it takes me back a long time ago when I was 17. I played in the Victorian team, and we played here in Adelaide as well. And even now, when I run into those players that I played with, some 28 years ago now, it's a special bond when we played and represented our state together. So congratulations on getting this far. The ones that I played with, some of them, I must admit, did go on to play AFL, and some of them didn't. Now, I dare say that some of you guys will go on to represent Victoria at other levels, hopefully go on to represent your country at other levels. And I'll give you a bit of a tip. It won't necessarily be the best ones in the team at the moment that go on and do that. Okay? You might be looking around, you're thinking, oh, so-and-so's the best player at the moment, so they're most likely to go on and play for Australia and represent their country. But it won't actually be that person. It'll be the ones who think, you know what, I've got a lot to improve on, and I'm willing to put in the time and effort to work on those things to improve. They'll be the ones that go on and play at the higher level. Because I can tell you, when I played under 17s over here in South Australia, I wasn't the best player. Certainly wasn't the best player. There was other players who were much better than me. I played some games on the bench, some games on the field. There was other players that played the whole game on the field. But you know what? Not many of them went on and played AFL, certainly didn't play AFL for 17 years. Why? Because mainly they thought, you know, they're really good players and they didn't need to do the work to improve. Okay, and they got to a certain level, they didn't go much higher. So that's my first tip for you guys, is to make sure you keep on improving. You're never as good as you can be. So you guys have got some big games coming up. So you've already had some big games, but from what I hear the coaches tell me, there might be some finals ahead. So what I thought I'd do is just give you some tips. Now, in all my time playing football, there's probably 3 tips that I can give you that will help you play football. Now, some of the big games I played in were the grand final, and the MCG, grand final. There were some state of origin games where South Australia were typically our biggest opponent, and you're representing the state and you're playing against another state. That always added something to it. We also played some games against Ireland in the international rules, so when you're representing your country, you've got Australia on the shirt, that's also a big game. So there's three things that I really learned about how to manage big games. The first one is, I'll ask you a question. Who hopes that they play really well in the next game that they're going to play? Who hopes that they play really well? Well, that's good, but in a lot of ways that's not good, okay? Because great players don't hope to play well. Okay? They don't go out thinking, I hope I play well today. What they do is they actually have figured out exactly how to play a good game. They take all the hope out of it. Because when I first started, I used to do the same thing. I used to hope that I played well. Until the coach asked me one day, he said, how do you play well? And I didn't really have an answer for it. I said, I try really hard and, you know, my effort's really up there and, you know, I exhaust myself and come off really tired. And he said, yeah, that's okay, but it's not really telling me how to play a good game of football. He said, go away and come back and tell me when you figured it out. So I went away and came back and I thought, you know, I followed the two rules and, well, I again try really hard and be consistent each quarter. He said, no, not good enough, go away. So I went away again, I came back. I came back with 5 things. And he said, I only wanted 3, but 5 will do. So tell me the 5 things that you do to play a good game of football. And how I did, I went away, I watched some video, I spoke to some other people, and it doesn't really relate to you guys, but I had my 5 things. And he said, until you can write down 5 things on how to play a good game of football, you won't be a good footballer and you won't be consistent. Because you'll be hoping to play well. You'll be hoping that your opponent gives you a lot of space. You'll be hoping that the ball, the funny shaped ball, bounces your way. Or you'll be hoping that your teammates get the ball a lot and give it to you. Okay? If you do that, well then some days that'll work, you'll be good, other days it won't work, it'll be bad. Great players, the difference between their good game and their worst game is pretty small. You know, that's the difference between a great player and an average player. So what he did was make me go away and think of those 3 things, or 5 things. And before each game, I had them written down. And Robert Harvey, for those who know the Saints, Robert Harvey won the Brownlow medal twice, played 380 games, was the champion of the game, legend, Hall of Fame player. Before every game, even his 380th game, he would sit down and read a piece of paper on how to play his game of football. So between now and the next time you guys play, I encourage you, just take 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes off by yourself and say, what things do I need to do to make sure that I play a good game of soccer? It doesn't matter what the opposition do, it doesn't matter what my teammates do. What 3 things do I do? Is it my pre-game routine? Is it the way that I concentrate on the ball leaving the pitcher's hand? Is it where I stand in the field? All those 3 things. Get those 3 things down. So there's tip number 1. Tip number 2 relates to not necessarily you guys as individuals. Okay? It's more about what you can give to the team. I speak to some school groups, I speak to other sporting teams, I speak to senior teams as well. And I say, what do you want to get out of playing? Players can answer very, very quickly. They say, in a tournament like this, I want to get the position that I want, I want to get recognised by my coach, I want to get recognised by some selectors that might be walking around watching. I might want to get to be the best player, I might want to get a medal at the end. Quite often it's about what they can get out of the team. Okay? When I ask the question, what can you give to the team, then it tends to stump people. What do you mean, what can I give to the team? And to me, that is the most important question that you can answer if you're going to be a team player. If you don't want to give something to the team, well, go and play tennis or golf or darts or something else. Okay? So that's the other thing I want you guys to think about is what can you give to this team? So if you're on the bench, what can you give to the team? I can hear the softball players chirping away. You're very, very noisy when you guys play. Okay? So what can I give to the team? So I can give my enthusiasm to the team when I'm on the bench. When I'm on the field, what can I give to the team? I can give my all-out effort. I can dive for that ball, I can sprint to first base, even though it might look like you're going to throw me out, still sprint. I can do all those little team things. Okay, so what can I give to the team? So great teams, they don't have players who think, what can I get out of playing? They have teams who think, what can I give to this team? I think you'll be a great team. And point number 3 is in big games. It's really important for you guys coming up. We're going to play big games, might be finals. You might be thinking, you know what, wouldn't it be great, bottom of the last innings, score's tied, got a couple of players on base, and I'll whack the ball over the fence. That might be what's going through your head. That might be what you think will win the big game. That won't be a big game. Big games are won by doing the basics perfectly. Doing the basics really, really well. Hawthorn won the grand final this year. Okay? We've got some great players. They won the grand final because they do the basics better than any other team. They cover for each other, they tackle, they give the ball off the first time every time, they give the ball to the best person who's in position to kick the goal. They do the basics really, really well. So what are the basics of a game of softball? I'll try to get back to my baseball days. Okay? Doing all those things really, really well, because you know what? It's going to be getting 5 grand out when you throw the ball to the first base, hit them on the chest 6 times. That's what's going to win you the game, not whacking the ball over the fence. Okay? So doing the basics really, really well. So it's probably the stuff that coaches are talking to you about. Okay? While your mind might be thinking, you know what, I want to be the hero and whack the ball over the fence, that's not going to win you the game. It's doing the basics, standing in the right position, it might be a sack fly, get somebody from first to second. You know what? That is going to win you the game, doing those sort of basics. So just to recap those 3 things. Great teams, big games are won by players who know how to play, they don't hope to play well, they do the really basic things really, really well. And what was the third thing? Just escaped. Remember? Basics, know how to play. Is it? 5 things? Yep, and play as a team. Be selfless. Okay? What can you give to the team? Selfless players really work well. So, here are my 3 things. I just want to leave you with 2 more, because I know it's good to show you sitting here in the shade. The other thing is, when I was 17, I was playing at St Kilda in the reserves, and the head coach called me into the office. And he called me and my dad, actually, in the office. He said, we're thinking of playing Nathan in the seniors in the next week or 2. What do you think about that? Naturally, I said, I think that's a really, really good idea. My dad said, you know what, I don't think that's a good idea. Nathan is 17, he weighs 68 kilograms, and he's playing against these guys who are 100 kilograms. He's going to get killed. He's going to get smashed. I don't think he's going to play. And then I said, Dad, the coach knows better than you. Head quiet corner. And we ended up agreeing that maybe the next couple of weeks I might get my first game. But I was just about to leave, I was pretty excited, and he called me back in. And he said, I'm going to give you one piece of advice. And really, it's probably my first piece of advice and the best piece of advice I ever got. He said, I want you to promise me one thing. If your career lasts 10 years, then great. If it lasts 1 game, then great. He said, what you've got to be able to do is you've got to be able to walk away at the end and say, I've got no regrets about what I did to play this game. So if I was good enough and I did everything within my power to get 1 game, and that's as good as I ended up being, well then, you know what, I can live the rest of my life really happy knowing that I gave it my all. But he said the worst thing you can do is you might only play 1 game or 1 year, and you walk away and say, you know what, I didn't train hard enough, or I kept going out with my mates on the weekend, or you know, I started to drink some alcohol, or I was a bit of a rat bag. If you start to do stuff like that, you know, that's what I did. I'm only talking to you older fellas here, but if you have regrets, you've got to live with those for the rest of your life. Okay, so make sure the time you are here at the St Kilda Footy Club, have no regrets. And luckily enough, that was good enough to make me last 7 years. So that was probably the best piece of advice that I received. Probably the best bit of advice that I can hand off to you guys at the moment. That with your softball, make sure that when it finishes, you can look back and you go, you know what, I gave it the best shot. If that got me to play for Australia, then fantastic. If it got me to play the under-12 girls for the Victorian team, and that was the best it got me, well then fantastic. You know, that's great. I can live with that for the rest of my life. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. The last little bit of advice I'm going to hand off to you guys is, I used to be a little fiery red-headed player, that when we lost the game, I used to sulk for a couple of days originally. So we'd lose on Saturday, I didn't talk to anyone on the Sunday, I didn't talk to anyone on Monday. By Tuesday I started to be a little bit happier, and it wasn't a really good way to live. Until I read a quote from an American football player. He actually said, the quote was, "Football is what I do, it's not who I am." And I thought, how does that apply to me? Because it sounds pretty good. And then he went on in the article to say, he used to be the same as me. He used to get really, really mad when we lost the game, sulked for a couple of days. Wasn't a very nice person to be around. I didn't really want that to be me. So he said, what am I besides being a footballer? So I looked at it. At the time, I was a boyfriend. I've got 3 sisters. So I was a brother, I was a son, I was a teammate. All these different things. I was actually going to university at the time, studying to be a teacher. And so I was a student as well. So football is what I do, it's not who I am. It meant that if I played a really bad game on the weekend, it didn't mean that all those other parts of my life were bad. It didn't make me a bad person. All it meant was, you know what, I've lost the game, and because I was in a good frame of mind, because I was still a good person, I could figure out why I lost the game, do something about it, and hopefully try better the week after. And it also meant that if I had a really good game, I was playing really well, it didn't make me a better person because I was playing a good game. Okay? It was really important. And for you older guys who are going through year 11, year 12 at the moment, try and relate that back to school as well. Because quite often I speak to students and they think, you know what, I get an A, going really well, must be a good person. I'm getting a C or a D in this subject, well, I might not be as good a person as them as getting A's. Okay? That's not the case at all. So try and think about who you are besides just being a softballer. Because no matter what happens this afternoon, okay, you win, fantastic. It doesn't make you better people. If you lose, it doesn't make you a bad person. Okay? You've got all those other parts of your life that are really, really important. And being a good person is much more important than being a good softballer. Okay? So that's probably why I'm probably sitting here freezing in the shade. I'm probably throwing a lot of things at you. My advice to you guys is, if you can take one thing out of what I've been saying and use that to be either a better person or a better softballer, or then fantastic, it's been worthwhile. Okay? Now, if anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to answer them.